is nothing. Only ever. Never, ever. An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it. Yes, it is. You got it, sweet brother. Nothing upon nothing upon nothing. I know you do, baby. I know. Coming right up, sir. Smooth passage. Alright, nothing down to fuck all borough. Do you want me to upgrade that to a one-way trip, sir? The song of death is sweet and endless. But what is this? Somewhere in the sore, bloated man meet around you. Like a fly to the ointment, your conscience sticks to it. The limbed and headed machine of pain and undignified suffering is firing up again. It wants to walk the desert, hurting, longing, dancing to disco music.
The stench of liquor rises from your mouth, and with it, an ungodly headache. A fiery streak penetrates your skull, trying to force your eyes open. It's a sound.
Somehow, you know what it is. A caprice to name a motor carriage. You hear a jingle. Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pen. It says, whirling in rags, on the aluminium key ring. There is a single key on the ring. The whirling in rags is a hostel cafeteria on the urban coast. This fan has two chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie has somehow attached itself to one of the blades. You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap! It's released from the blade. What you have in your hand is a truly hideous necktie, with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose. A terrible mistake. Turn the lights off immediately. The lights are off. The blades come squeaking to a halt. A mirror hangs above a bent and broken sink. Was this not the same Elon? That probably not, no. Hot water sprays from the faucet's base, and steam covers them. Suddenly, you realize you have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor. As you slowly reach your hand, abort. You clearly have not thought this through. You won't like what you see there. And you behold. You have no idea who this thing is, do you? It appears you're also dead. There's clearly rigor mortis on your face. Oh wait, is that an expression? Are you trying to make... Please stop. It's horrible. You're scaring yourself. You can't, can you? It's like it's not even voluntary anymore. What does it even mean? What is the emotion you're trying to convey? You should check yourself for a pulse, superstar. From here it looks like a cadaverous spasm. You find no sign of life on your swollen neck. However, putting your hand on your chest reveals an irregular heartbeat. You appear to be alive, for now. It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of... Things were good. It was smooth sailing. For Revachol, your city, that if it doesn't rhyme, you're not out of the dazzling swirl of disco music in an open air boîte de nuit somewhere in Revachol West. Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression. It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return. It's too late. Like an image on film. The expression.
Hello, officer.
The young woman raises a cigarette to her lips. Her eyes are brown and her face is speckled with birthmarks. She can't be more than 28. A silver jumpsuit falls off her like scale armor, sparkling. This is the sparkle of too many nights out on the city. A man in his late 20s stands behind the counter, inspecting a stuffed seabird. As you approach, he gives you a sideways glance, then looks down again. Everything is cool between you and this guy. He's a big fan. Make some small talk. A competent work of taxidermy. The white and brown seabird lies among piles of coasters and drying mugs. One of its wings broken. The man is trying to mend it. Looks like the bird was ripped off the shield that was used to mount it, most likely on a wall. This is the great skua. The seabird is the symbol for the discovery of the Insulindian Isola, the part of the world you are in right now. The small steel tag says as much. The great skua, Stegosaurus skua.
Look, your buddy is over there. Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
He pretends not to hear you, concentrating on the bird instead. A competent work of looks like the bird was. This is the great skua. The small steel tag says as much.
Look, your buddy. Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
He pretends not to hear you, concentrating on the bird instead. A competent work looks like the. This is the great skua. The small steel tag says as much.
Look, your buddy. Why don't you go and talk to him, okay?
He pretends not to hear you. A competent work looks like the bird. This is the great. The small steel tag.
Look, your buddy. Why don't you go and.
He pretends not to hear you.
Hello, sweetie. You shouldn't keep your colleague waiting.
A bespectacled man in an orange bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor. Looks like he's waiting for someone. As you approach, he narrows his eyes, and on the sleeve of his bomber jacket, as well as on its back, are the same enigmatic white rectangles as on your blazer.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
You realize he's waiting for your name. Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau.
Yes, well,
Not for a moment does he believe that's your real name. He casts it aside as an intra-departmental joke or a peculiarity.
it looks like we had a little scheduling error on Sunday. Saturday too, actually. Have you had time to talk to the manager here?
What he means is, he has been trying to meet up with you for 2 days, but you have been otherwise occupied.
Then we should ask him for a rundown of the area. Get me up to speed. I understand the scene is out back, right? It also wouldn't hurt to assure him the police are finally here. In full force, I mean. Have you mapped out the initial interviews? Yes, of course. At the 57th, we like to prepare an initial list of persons of interest, and then just skim the surface. Prepare the field, get to know the players. You don't do that? Maybe it's not an inter-district practice. Okay, we'll have time for that after we take a look at the coroner's case. Have you removed the dead body from the tree? Mm-hmm. So, the body is still in the tree where it has been hanging for 7 days straight. We should go there as soon as we are done talking to the owner. After you, officer.
If you're about to embark on an investigation, shouldn't you have a badge?
You mean you don't have a badge? Losing your identification card is a serious matter. My vehicle has a shortwave. You can use it to report your badge missing. I advise you to try to locate it as quickly as possible, but getting the body down should still take precedence.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi is now in your party. You can talk to him.
A colourful piece of plastic is dangling from his carabiner. On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine. It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John.
No idea. Looks like he works for Wild Pines, the logistics company who owns and operates the harbor. Possibly because there's a strike going on in the harbor. There's not much to do aside from drinking and sleeping.
The man does not mind. You probably need them more than he does.
You've just picked up some magnesium. This item is stored in the bottom left corner of the screen above your character portrait. Use magnesium to heal your morale if you have morale damage.
Your fingers find their way into the shackle, flicking open its spring-loaded gate. The metal loop holds the plastic ID and a leather-bound pocketbook. The man emits a loud snore. Is he about to wake up? Doesn't look like it, but you never know. Better be quick. You slip the plastic ID card out of the loop and pocket it. Just for the record, you look nothing like the man. You find a black paper note with a woman's profile on it. Seems like this woman. No, he's looking the other way. Perhaps purposefully. The sleeping dock worker has little to say about your actions. He remains silent.
The RCM in Martinez. What can I help you with? Of course. What can I help you with? Me? I am just a gardener. I am pleased to meet you too. Of course. Where to? Oh, that's right there, in the yard.
Even all the way over here, there's a drop of death in the spring air.
There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really. The harbor gates? Some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics. Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken, I think. Some kind of just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed down ages ago. What do you mean? We're in Martinez, sir. This intersection is called Roundabout North, I think. No problem. Of course.
If there's a corpse, then you're going to need those gloves for the autopsy.
Sure, keep them. I have another pair.
Before you stands a motor carriage. The bodywork is covered in blue and white livery, bearing vapor emanates from the large. This must be the inferno. In the cabin, you are welcomed by a set of steering levers. A scent of leatherwork and heavy fuel oils washes over you. The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar. As you tap on the gauge, the indicator pin jerks as if
There's no use pressing the heat button. It won't start without the ignition key.
Translation. A metallic drawer slides out from under.
Take what you need, officer. It's going to be a long case. I'm not protective of my tools, like some men.
The pry bar feels nice and cold in your hand, useful for opening all sorts of doors and lids. The handles are long. You can do good work with it's robust. What lets you see things in the dark you would otherwise. The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. Preheater gauge casts a warm glow on the steering.
Hello, sir. Step right in. The store is open. I know, sir. Are you interested in a new and exciting book? Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. My name is Annette, sir. My mum, her name is Plaisance. She owns the store. Feel free to step in and browse our wares. I'm signalling that the store is open. Otherwise, people might not know. They'd miss out on the crime, romance, and biographies of famous people. Oh, no, sir. I'm happy to help Mum by luring in customers. Besides, I have some hot juice in my vacuum bottle to keep warm. I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running. Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is due.
There is stress and unease behind these words. She's reciting etiquette.
Mum says it's peachy. She was a little afraid at first. There's talk about this house being cursed. Cursed in the way that makes them say that no business has ever really thrived here, sir. That they all go... Exactly, but we've been doing fine so far.
We can go into the bookstore and ask about the case, but I don't see much more to look into here.
Yes. Please do also look at our wares inside. The postcards and board games are there, sir. Nothing really, sir. Mum doesn't allow me to sneak around in the back rooms or the cellar. I don't really know what's there.
It does not manifest itself in any way. It does not exist. I liked it better when we were talking about whether it's appropriate to stand out in the freezing weather.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, sir? Nothing really, sir. Mum doesn't allow me to sneak around in the back rooms or the cellar. Maybe I can tell you about some of our books instead. Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or art. I think that's why...
Seems like most people who read those books fail to get more famous from reading them.
It's the type of book where there's a rich lady and she has to choose between the good man and the bad man. Or there could be a story about a poor lady getting a rich man. It's about man and lady business, sir. It happens, but usually the guy gets rich in the process. Or should actually be rich himself, but has lost his family property unjustly, like during the revolution or something. Those are unhappy books, for most of the pages. People sad about what they have lost, but then it all turns out just fine in the end. That's really not a proper romance story. That's more like everyday life. I guess, yes. People in books are always very interesting, especially the romance people. I haven't read many of those. Maybe you should ask Mum. I don't think it's a romance story if the main characters break up, though. No, I don't know. Yes, she knows books, definitely.
What was that? An idea for an unfinished novel stuck somewhere in your forebrain?
Maybe some about other books?
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by an endless variety of source books, lore books. There's also a large hardbound tome with books in a board game section. Who wants to read books? There's a box that says Wirral, 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplements Module. The side panel notes, a fantastique adventure board game. That price is steep, but then it's the 3rd edition Mega Setting Supplement, so it makes sense. An endless variety of source books. There's also books in a board game section. Who wants to read a towering mountain of colorful board game boxes?
Welcome to Crime, Romance and Biographies of Famous People. My name is Plaisance. Be welcome and pleased I am, the proudest owner of our little shop of culture. Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, Was she at her post, doing her job like a proper girl? Wonderful! Did you talk to her? Great! On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled were you to buy books after talking with her? My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette. As a young girl should be, with the proper attitude, she'll have a bright financial future.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders rigid and tense. Every now and then, she nudges her glasses.
Oh yes, how's my precious doing? She's as a young girl should be, with the proper attitude.
The woman before you scans the store, her shoulders.
Cursed? Who said that? Annette? I will have a word with her. This place is not cursed.
What in God's name is she talking about?
Goodness, you were already doing good, browsing the shelves. Why'd you stop? Don't you feel compelled? Go, go, get back there. The books await. Everything is on the shelves. Take a look yourself. The shelves compel you, don't they?
She smiles and nods, seemingly relieved. The plaque on the shelf reads, Biographies of Famous People. You see a large variety of names, none of which ring a bell.
I would say The Greatest Innocence. Yes, most certainly. It's an important educational tool, delving into the depths of history, religion, and their relation to innocentic power. A very influential historical figure, but surely I don't have to tell you that. You're a law officer, and law officers have at least some. The book is also very daring. The author aims to re-examine the universal understandings of the innocentic system, creating a fresh vantage point and a shift in the tired order of things. Certainly, it's prudent for a person to have at least an elementary understanding.
You feel like you should get this one. Definitely. It's important somehow. There's something personal.
A true cultural touchstone. Enjoy the read.
You've acquired an interactable item. Investigate this item further by going to the Interact tab in your inventory.
Browsing through all the books with all their names makes your head spin. None of these seem important or suddenly, a particularly odd high-speed love chronicles the romance next to Irv's life story. Next to that,
I really must insist you buy one of the books. Reading them is not for free. Do still browse though, but not too... I'm sorry, I did not mean to rush you. You are browsing. Go ahead.
Hello again, sir.
striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel. There is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual...
It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just...
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group. Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organisation now. Yes, I believe there is a connection, but that's a subject for later. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike?
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say...
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines, Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening, and now, people are getting
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was called...
This checks out.
Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union. Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can... Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I...
If you were to prick it with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his... It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows... The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. Organized labor at its best, as they say.
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and your opinion, detective, if I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Of course, officer. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the union.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore.
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the union's files. Indeed, the company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. What?
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge number.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57, and this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, Detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such...
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't...
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her. Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. Whatever noble intentions you once had as a police officer, it's eaten them all up. You're still coming up with sentences. That's a step up from total annihilation, right?
Yes, it can be difficult to be on the receiving end of so much distrust and outright hatred.
Nothing you can say would make you feel any better. Cop gives up the detective genre for social realism. Another police officer resigned from the RCM following a nervous breakdown. He now lives...